Hi folks, this is Dino Bob. We're returning to Bettatu Park today. As you can see, this is the bridge to the Jurassic, which was where we left you before I went back to Atebeno Park. And I've been doing some terraforming uh, on and off in this while working on Atebeno Park. And you can see some of the effects of that in this overshot and the traditional layout, the building I'm going to be working on roughly it's before starting the video. So we're going to zoom in on that building base, and I'm going to shortly start the speed build. This is an overlook pavilion for our major Morrison exhibit and a secondary exhibit just beyond the building there. So, uh, you ready to go? Because here we go. So the first step is to establish the foundation. You saw I had already put a set of rock in there and picked the color I wanted for it. And you can see me putting it in place and fiddling with it a little bit to make sure I get the heights I want. And decided to cap it off with the same block that I used on that raised area that was in place when we started. You'll see what that is near the end of the video, or what it's intended to be anyway. So trimming off all the top of the walls to help give the building a bit of consistency and because there's a number of different things going on, and a lot of this build is going to be uh, stuff you're actually not going to see because there's a lot of repetitive stuff. So after putting those foundational corner pillars in, I started work on the bamboo and rope element that is the principal design feature in this overlook structure. Uh, I built it as a set here. Lots of ropes, lots of ropes. Something about bamboo and ropes, it just goes together. Uh, and you can see I'm duplicating it to go to the various corners of the main platform there. And as is often the case with so many things, since we don't have a group select tool right now, I would lose pieces. And that was a continuing problem through this whole build, that trying to duplicate a group would leave something behind. I decided to do that back-to-back kind of version there on that section of the build, because that's going to be under the roof and also in the center of the side facing the major exhibit. All to sort of theme it. I didn't want to do a classic bamboo roof. I wanted it to have sort of a curved effect. Not quite, like I say, classic kind of bamboo roof, but a little more modern look to it in terms of its shape anyway. A lot of fiddling to get the angles right, as one does when one's doing things like that. And then with the roof in place, I could then go back and adjust all the posts and get them all to the right height and lay in the other major support posts for the roof. Because I don't know if it would pass an engineer's approval, but I got something I think looks okay, or possibly even good. But I'm not the sole judge of that. Uh, so a lot of fiddly work in this build, a lot of pieces. But I wanted something that had sort of a slightly modern vibe, yet still be built in sort of a traditional way with the lashed together bamboo. And we got to take care of our guests. And what better place for Bronto burgers than looking over the sauropod habitat? Uh, well, not actually in the burger joint itself, but anyway. So wanted to keep with the theme a little bit, and you'll eventually see me messing with the standard branding for it to make it a little more uh, coherently, well, that's not the right word, but to make it more fit into this building. It really doesn't need this roof underneath the other roof, but it looked incomplete without it, and it makes it look like its own thing. And who knows, maybe there are building code things that say they've got to have a hard roof rather than the thatch because they've got a building. What I probably should do is put in some venting, but I'm going to assume they've got a draft venting that is drawing the stuff downward and out somewhere else. The building, excuse me, the restaurant module stuck through the wall a little bit, and that required a little fiddling to get things looking okay because they don't want to overlap each other. And it did get onto that combing area. So I added the staff door to the area behind the service counter. I probably should go back in and throw a door from the back down at the counter level. That would be a good thing to do. Threw a couple of tables in, so it'll be functional. A couple of trash cans to theme it out, and discovered I really should have put a few more support poles in. Wanted to give our guests who are eating in there a little more privacy. So I added those panels and decided to use that panel also for the sign for this area. That's going to be the backdrop for it. And then do the traditional spell it out letter by letter and mess around with its sizing and plop it on there. So need handrails for the stairs. The handicapped guests, of course, go up that ramp from the front. And then I wanted those rails to look like they were attached. So I had to do that with a little bit of fiddling, make sure all the angles are lined up, because sometimes things just go a little bit off. I knew the building needed some lighting, but I decided not to go crazy about it. So I pretty much the only lights I'm put in so far are the ones you're about to see me fiddle with after I get these benches in, and put them in at the handicap ramp and entrance to the place, because the restaurant elements throw light themselves, and it's so the general look of what the structure looks like, and we'll even play with time a little bit here and take us into the dark so you can see what it looks like with the light. It's far enough away from the habitat that it shouldn't disturb the animals if there's a little bit of light there. I'm still trying to decide what I want to do there. So let me show you, give you an idea of what I wanted to do with that big chunk that I told you near the end of the video we'd take a look at. So I just grabbed the sauropod that's out there. It's a Camarasaurus. And eventually, I believe we're going to be getting statues of all the animals in the game. It's relatively easy to do when you have such nice models. You just, grab a pose and, modify what its texture is. So we're going to have, I would love to have a sauropod statue in there. Maybe it won't happen, but that's the intent in this build. And that's what I was going for, to have that kind of sauropod coming through the roof sort of there. He won't stay there, so I got to put him back in the habitat. Off you go. Yeah, it's a little different kind of build, and using the tropical stuff, which I haven't done a ton with. I think it came out pretty well. But let's see. Shall we see if we can take a walk in there? Is that the part of the video we're at? Nope. I'm taking a picture. Okay, maybe this will show up as a thumbnail. Maybe it did show up as a thumbnail. You'll have seen that by now. But general feel to what the approach to the building looks like. You can see me playing with the time of day and the angle to see what makes for a nice lighting and what I decided on. And back into the game itself, get a few more shots of what it looks like. Let's see if we can go up that ramp. I was having a lot of trouble driving the day I filmed this. And there's one of our animals. That is Torvosaurus gardii, which is a European species, I believe, of Torvosaurus from the Jurassic period, contemporaneous with the Morrison formation in the U.S., but found in Europe. A lot of the animals, genera-wise at least, are the same. And a lookout over the long habitat there, the far habitat, I should say. And well, it's not really full yet. We don't have a lot of Jurassic animals yet. Hey, come back here. lost a little bit with the buttons there. Like I say, navigation was a challenge this day. So we're going to quickly drop over to the nursery and get ourselves some gal sauropods to join the male who's been hanging out there, being my size model. This species doesn't have a strong dimorphic coloration change for the genders. But one of the interesting things you'll see when I plop these 4 females down is you're going to see a good range of the color variations that happen in the animals. I happen to come up with a notable set of differences for these animals. So with them all made and ready to be placed, we'll zoom out and put them down. If I had realized they were going to come out so nicely, color variations, I would have concentrated on making that very clear as I was placing them and zoomed in a little bit further. But obviously I didn't know till they went down. So back to the viewpoint, and we'll be closing this video out once I get it lined up with a cinematic shot of the sauropods on the plain on the other side of the river, or perhaps we're offshore or something. What does your imagination tell you makes sense? Anyway, this will look a lot better when we have stegosaur, drysaurs running around to make it look a little more lively, and possibly another sauropod or 2 as part of this exhibit. But it is what it is right now. We're promised animals from the collection of 50 that we'll be seeing eventually. And I believe Early Access has promised another sauropod or 2, at least 1 from the Morrison. But onward and upward to other things. This is Dino Bob. I'm glad you stopped by today. Please subscribe, like, and comment. It all helps other people see my stuff.